Hello people, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time this is. Today I'm just going to be looking at indices, but just the specific part of indices that we should have done. Well, it was in one of the chapters from last year, but because it was a bit too advanced, we left it for this year. So we're going to look at negative indices, and we're also going to look at fractional indices, and possibly perhaps putting the two together, negative fractional indices. So, whenever you've got a negative index, all that means is that it's gonna be the same power, but of the reciprocal of the base that you've got. Remember, that is the base, and that is my index. So 6 to the power of negative 2 is the same as the reciprocal of 6. And if you remember what the reciprocal of 6 is 1 over 6 to the power 2. We just ignore the negative now, because what the negative does is tell me that I need the reciprocal of 6. And therefore, my answer is 1 over 36. That's it. If you've got a negative index, that's all you have to do. You find the reciprocal of the number that you've got in the base, and that's it. If you've got a fraction, to a negative index, then you're going to find the reciprocal of the fraction. And the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3 to the power 3. Remember, once we find the reciprocal, we don't need the negative index. And now, we're just going to simplify. 4 to the power 3 is 64, and 3 to the power 3 is 27. And that's my final answer, and you always leave the answer as a fraction. Don't need to do anything else, okay? Just leave it like that. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is when you've got fractional indices. So let's say I have 36 to the power 1/2. Now typically, there's two ways to go about this, right? What they would typically teach you is that fractional indices become roots. So the numerator is the index inside the root, and the denominator is the order of the root, of the magnitude of the root. If it's a 2, it's going to be a square root. If it's 3, it's going to be a cube root. If it was 4, it would be the 4th root, etc., etc. So this is the order of the root. So 36 to the power 1/2 is 36 goes inside the square root 1, so it will be 36 to the power 1, but we know that 36 to the power 1 is just 36, and 2 will be square root, but we know for a square root we do not need to write the 2. So the square root of 36 is 6. That's one way to do it. Another way to do this, and you choose which one you prefer, is that 36 to the power 1/2, a different way to write 36 is 6 squared to the power 1/2. 36 is 6 squared, power 1/2, power 1/2. Now, rules of indices, what do I do with these two indices? I multiply them together. So this is 2 times 1/2 is 2 over 2, which is 1. It's a 6 to the power 1, which is 6. So I get exactly the same answer. Another example here could be 9 to the power 2/3. I'm going to do it both ways again. So this is going to be the cube root, because the denominator is 3, so that means cube root of 9 squared. So you will get the cube root of 81, and that's just going to give you a decimal. So your answer would just be that, and leave it like that. Okay, so for now, that's all you could do, unless in the exam they ask you to give your answer as a decimal. Typically, the numbers will work out in such a way that your answer will be a whole number, typically. The other way to do this is 9 is 3 squared to the power 2/3. 2 times 2/3 is 3 to the power 4/3, which again, just like before, is the cube root of 3 to the power 4. Remember, the numerator is the power of the number inside, so this is the cube root of 81. Perhaps, now that I look at it, a more interesting example would have been 9 to the power 3/2. So this is the square root of 9 to the power 3, which is the square root of 729, which is 27. There you have it. And the reason I know the answer is 27 without a calculator is because of the other way to answer this question. That, I'm going to do it here, 9 is 3 squared to the power 3/2. 2 times 3/2 is 3, so this is 3 to the power 3, which is 27. So there you go, that is your answer. And finally, what if I got a fraction raised to a negative fraction, put it all together? So what if I've got 16 over 25 to the power minus, I don't know, let's keep it simple, 1/2. Well, the first thing you need to deal with is the negative sign of the index. And remember, what the negative sign did was give us the reciprocal. So this is going to be 25 over 16 to the power 1/2. 1 becomes the power of the number inside, and 2 is so this is the square root of 25 over 16, which is square root of 25 over square root of 16, and all of you can tell me that the answer is 5/4. And there you go, that's it. That's how you do negative indices, that's how you do fractional indices. There's a lot going on there. This requires a lot of practice, so we're going to leave it here for now and take it from there. Good luck.